Who's going fishing Sunday?
I am. Let's go.
Let's go.
I am.
I'm in.
What? Wait. Can you put that cat down?
Yeah. The cat's in.
I was trying to be a Bond villain. I apologize.
Yeah. It's warm by this fire, Buck.
We're not even in the fire. We need to jump in the current.
We got to cool off in the current.
I just want everyone to know, I mean, we say it all the time. You have 7 best friends when you tune into us every week.
And it's wild because we used to say that, but now it's so real.
And it was just a real existential morning, guys.
God, existential.
Did you short drift them?
Well,
That's a yes.
That's what the Canadians say, no bueno.
No bueno.
If there is a traditional Canadian saying, no bueno.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. You are in the current. This is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you outdoors by connecting you with the skills, products, and people you can trust. I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
and it's Bucky.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
Morning, Catfish.
Fellas, this episode is brought to you by Tony Maja Products, redefining the art of trolling bunker spoons since 1968. Wow, check them out at TonyMajaProducts.com, where you can find all the rods, line, and terminal tackle you'll need to start trolling today and get your shot at joining the 50-pound club.
Come on.
Fishing the famous Maja bunker spoons and Magic Mojos. Follow them on Facebook or Instagram by searching Tony Maja Products.
I'm becoming aware of this 50-pound club. We talk about it. We've had guys that are absolutely in the club.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't here last week to be able to talk to Tony.
You missed it, bud. I wish you could have been here.
Like, I was blown away just that his dad made him out of stop signs or anything he could get a hold of, and just how he discovered how to make that spoon and what they wanted to fashion it after that wounded bunker. For never having done it, I learned a ton.
Yeah.
At least how to spoon fish them. And I know now the bunker is a popular bait fish for striped bass.
We are learning a lot.
And the thing is it's attainable. That 50-pound club, it's attainable. Like you can do it. It's not a unicorn. It's out there. You're able to get there. And we talked with the guys last week that can absolutely make that happen.
What a kickoff to Striper Madness Month.
Yeah.
This is hitting me right in one of the areas that I want to learn more about. It's saltwater fishing. We heard from our guest earlier this week, and he fishes striper fish, but also we heard that what was that, a bearcat or baccarat with that fish that he caught?
Bert Bacharach.
Yeah, the Bert Bacharach fish. And golly, and I'm realizing in my backyard is probably some of the best saltwater fishing in America.
Yeah, it's not far. Well, unfortunately, most of the lakes and most of the lakes that I fish at this time of year have shut down. They're closed.
Okay.
You know why, Buck? Like legally shut down.
It's time to put to use our trout stamp, I believe.
And you called it a trout stamp, and I'm impressed.
That's a first.
That's a first.
Well,
He's growing.
It's growing on me.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do this year, Stevie? We've already chatted.
Yeah. You said you're coming trout fishing with us.
I'm going to go.
Was it offline chat?
It was an offline chat, but it's going to get chiseled in stone here.
Question I wanted to ask you guys though is: are we going to try to use those striper spoons?
They'll work for trout. The real big ones?
Not for trout, but I'm talking about going
Those are the ones I want to try.
going to the lakes or down.
My buddy George from Pocono Outdoors guy, we talked a little bit this week, and he is intent on getting us to fish with Tony sometime this year. And if George says it's going to happen, he's going to make it happen.
He does.
So I think the short answer to your question is yes.
We're going to have a chance.
Yeah.
Turnpike Brotherhood.
The Turnpike Brotherhood, along with our our new friend Tony, we're going to make it happen.
I can't imagine catching into one of those 50-pound cows. I'd be happy with a dink right now, of a striper dink.
Did you hear Ryan's joke?
No, I did not.
My nickname in high school was Bunker.
Yes.
Because of my 2 to 3 foot sway and
Hips.
Yeah.
His gait.
And the
Only
big girls
only
like
the big girls talk.
Yeah. I did hear that.
A little pee came out. I can't.
Oh, that was clever.
I forgot about it, and then I heard it again.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
But you guys, I want to say thanks to the crew. You really entertained me in the outdoors. I haven't been around the table, but boy, what a great winter you guys have had. You guys really brought it to us, and I was a fan for 2.5 months, 3 months here. So
You were missed.
So it was
Sorely missed.
but it was always good to know that I had 2 hours worth of family time with you all to listen to every week. Seriously. And I look forward to it. And
Outdoors therapy.
yes, very much when I'm stuck in a
yeah.
gym. So thank you guys. I appreciate for you guys doing what you do.
Guys, what do we do? Anything new this week?
I'll tell you what. I've seen 60s in the forecast.
Is that real?
I hope. It needs to be real.
That groundhog's a liar.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever experienced cabin fever before. But it's actually hitting me this year.
Really?
It's bad.
It's going into my 3rd spring as an angler.
Yeah.
I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I did spend a little time at my cabin this past weekend
How was that?
up near State College. It was good. It was a good time.
He got a fever.
And I got a fever while I was in my cabin. That's where it came from.
Cowbell couldn't help it.
No.
Okay.
No, it certainly couldn't. No, but I spent some time outdoors, and we actually got snowmobiles out, or snow machines, as the folks up north call them.
Boy,
See.
That looked like fun.
It's Canadian for yes.
Yes.
Got the snowmobiles out, and it was a good time. But I'm done with winter.
I heard that.
I'm just done with it. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, wait. Before I move past the snowmobiling, one takeaway from my, I'm going to say 25-mile snowmobile
That's
adventure.
a long ride.
It was. We put some hours in.
Yeah.
Pretty much dried up tanks. In these sleds. I was a little bit worried on our way back. I'm like, we might actually run out of gas,
Really?
petrol. But we didn't. Everything was good. If there was something good that came from the trip, besides just the trip itself, I mean, it was a good experience. But the best part of the trip, I watched and I paid attention. I was looking for tracks in the snow everywhere I went. Because we were literally cutting first tracks on most of the trails that we were on. As soon as we got off of the roads, which were completely snow covered and it was just ruts from vehicles, but on all the snowmobile trails, we were cutting first tracks because there was about 3 inches of fresh snow. Since just within a day or two of us getting up there. There was one place where there were heavy trails that are used and abused and just, they were highways for deer. All of those trails were right where I've been hunting. I'm in the right spot
for winter.
I'm in the right spot for rifle season, late season. This is where the deer are wintering.
Sure.
They yard up in the winters, and it reinforces some of the theories I've had, some of the ideas. I love the layout of these areas I've been hunting. Did the scouting, put my time in, boots on the ground, and it just reinforces and confirms some of those ideas.
There you go. You got some early season scouting.
Early, late season scouting.
Early.
Late early season.
Late early, or
those are your words.
Let's stick with them.
Do you hunt up there in the regular rifle season? Right?
Yeah, that's actually where we've been going now for rifle season. It's more like a family reunion at this point. We don't kill a lot of deer, But
I remember you.
this past season was the first year where we had 2 buck from the same stand.
That's right. That's right.
Within 48 hours, 2 buck came out of the same stand.
And this is the same area where you were close to seeing the bear, right? Or crossing paths with the bear.
Yeah, where my son and I almost came face to face with one that was hauling the mail through the swamp.
Yeah.
Less than 85 yards from the stand where
Carrying
2 buck was.
pumpkins.
Oh, dear.
He was carrying pumpkins.
Oh, dear.
I was like, cut him. Didn't work out for me. I'm gonna say, fortunately, we didn't run into the bear that was moving through the swamp that day. But same area. So it's what I thought it would be. I found the spot with my brother-in-law Brad, and we found it based on looking at maps, looking at Google Earth, and then driving around, boots on the ground. I'm like, this is the area we need to focus some scouting, and boom, sure enough,
that's cool.
It's panned out. It's proven that we've seen deer. I put the cameras up. I see bear, coyotes, everything's in there. And now, fresh snow on the ground, 2 or 3 days of snow. That's where all the tracks are.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because we talk about tracking, and skills that you have in tracking, but it's extremely fun to get out and follow fresh tracks and see where deer go and where they're bedding, because you can follow them right to their bedding areas after a fresh snow. It's when I drive through that gauntlet right after that snow.
Yeah.
Within the next 3 days, the amount of deer tracks that come back and forth across there are astounding, and it's you can see 100 yards in both directions out the field, so you can see where they're crossing at.
Yeah.
It looks like a highway in there. You're right.
And deer change their patterns, different seasons. Down here, where there's a lot of agriculture, based on how fields are planted this year, it was soybeans last year, it was corn, stuff like that. They'll change and adjust their patterns, but man, there are spots that are obvious highways in some of these places, and I'm hunting in one.
Did you ever feel like jumping off the snow machine and just following them, like tracking tracks?
Did I feel like that? Yes.
Yeah.
Did my wife and my daughter? No, not so much.
Wait here for an hour. I'll be back. Just riding circles.
But I have done that in other winters. We've gone out there and I've done some scouting. It's just nice to get those.
What do you do when you find
things
them?
confirmed?
You mean the deer? When you come up, they just jump up and run.
Yeah. This is the time of year to really. Now you could also be shed hunting this time of year, but this was a family outing. I just didn't have the time to
We bought a shed like 3 years ago.
Did you?
You went shed hunting and found it. This is the one.
It's preseason.
That's true. Good point, Buck. Now's the time of the year to be.
It's tax season.
Tax season. Yeah, you get a
good run.
Good deal on a shed. Is it in Pennsylvania? Is it, if you find sheds, is it legal to keep them?
Yeah.
No, it's like I'm just kidding.
Sorry. No, you should give them to me. I'll turn them in for you.
I thought there were some regulations in some states where you couldn't. Or am I way off?
You're way off to some degree. It's shed antlers. I don't think that there's a state in the union that you can't keep them.
Alaska.
Is it like
you can't
sheds?
You can't take bull sheds out of the tundra.
Oh. Mostly, what I think you might be referring to, a lot of places, and you see this on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
This time of year when people are shed hunting, they'll find heads,
like a whole skull
of
dead
animals,
heads, yeah.
dead heads, and those are these were deer that were shot in hunting season, never recovered. These were deer that were hit by a vehicle. These were deer that died of CWD. Those dead heads you can't keep in many states, and I believe Pennsylvania may be one of those. I can't say for sure. Check your regs.
Really?
Be sure to check those regs.
Check your regs.
Check them regs.
It's been a long time, but I think you're right. Maybe it was moose dead heads.
Yeah,
maybe it was. I'll have to look at that, but I knew there was something that I wanted, because we found moose sheds in Alaska.
Yeah. And
I knew that the pilot told me, don't bring that on my plane. You're not allowed to take it back. I'll have to look into that, but I remember something like it. Maybe it was a deadhead. Yeah,
there are definite distinctions between shed antlers and finding a carcass.
What's the reason for why can't you, if you find a head, a skull with antlers on it? Why?
I think
what's the big deal?
Disease prevention.
Oh, gotcha.
Things like that. That CWD,
so
the chronic wasting disease, is huge. A huge epidemic. There's other, blue tongue, EHD. there are a lot of diseases, and many of them are spread through fluids found in the brain and the spinal column, and they are the disease will carry through in some of the tissue that's still there when you find a dead head. But a shed antler, there's no longer blood flow.
Yeah.
And when it falls off of the skull naturally, there's no longer any of those
pathogens.
Pathogens is close to the right word, Bucky. It's just outside of my reach right now.
Hey, we get the drift.
You know what I mean.
Carbuncles.
Bucky, you got blue tongue from a snow cone one time.
Man, you don't even know where I got that blue tongue from.
I do think that there are states too, like I have a friend that does butcher deer, and you're not allowed to have the head in there without the tag. So
really,
I don't know how this works, because you can go buy a dead head from a flea market in Pennsylvania. You can buy one from a show, but if you're carrying one in the bed of the truck, you have like skulls inside a taxidermist. He has to have the tag with him. In Pennsylvania. So I don't even know if that might be a factor, that if you find 20 deadheads and you have them in your garage and a warden shows up and be like, hey, where's the tags for all these deer? I found them.
Okay. That makes sense.
That might be a factor.
Okay.
I'll have to look into that too, but it sounds legit from what I've heard from some of the guys that butcher deer. Like they can't even have the hides without the tags. So
they're called prions. The prions.
Carbons. That's what it was. Latin.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cousins to the carbuncles.
Cousins of the carbuncles.
Carbons.
The prions. Anyway.
Prius.
So you can definitely go shed hunting in Pennsylvania, but Stevie, just safety first, bud. If you find some, give them to me. I'll let you know.
Okay. Can do.
Stevie, fishing? You getting ready for fishing? You bought anything lately?
I bought our listener Derek Keller hooked me up with a muskie rod this year.
What?
Yeah. He had one of his friends was selling one, and
best friend of the show.
Yeah, best friend of the show. So I got a muskie rod from him, and I'm trying to use it for swim baits, for big swim baits. But man, I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger on a reel.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat with the rod that I just got back that you guys got
Wayne.
me, that gave it to Wayne, that gave to me.
I thought you had a reel for that.
I put it on another rod.
Oh, that's a good problem to have.
I put it on a catfishing rod that I got, so now I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need for it. And I asked Wayne, and he gave me a bunch of options. And
Wayne?
So
these bait casting reels or egg beaters?
Bait casting reels.
These are, And how long is that rod I have? I mean, it's a tank.
I think it's 8 foot. The one we got you is 8 foot.
18 foot, yeah, sounds right.
It's an 18-footer. 6-piece 18-footer.
So we can go reel shopping if you'd like. That sounds like a BFF type of thing to do.
I'm
right.
It's just, I know what I want, and what I can.
Not cause a divorce over.
Yeah,
it's tax time.
Is way two different things. But
what do you want?
A Shimano Corrado, I think.
Oh yeah, I want a Lamborghini too.
The Shimano, what's the one I'm looking at now? It's a little bit cheaper than that.
The doctor told me I had 3 carotid arteries.
Dude, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm gonna look this up now.
It's quite, they're pricey, boss.
Yeah. The Corrado is what I want, and I'm probably not even pronouncing it right.
Can I see
the Cardiff is what I'm probably gonna end up with.
Show me a picture of what you're looking at there.
What I'm looking at is this Cardiff.
Okay, so that's what I was envisioning.
Need to order 2 of those.
When I say bait caster, I'm thinking like, I don't know, is it called like a bass bait caster?
It looks different. That's more oval.
That's more of a round open face.
Oh yeah.
That looks more like your typical
like a trolling.
Abu Garcia trolling, or like a catfishing reel.
Like an inshore trolling reel is what I picture when I see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what I'd like to get, which is what you're thinking, that Corrado.
Mm-hmm.
That's more along the lines of what I'm thinking of. I don't know, is that traditional bait caster?
I think it's a low profile. Profile bait caster.
That's what they call them, low pros.
Okay.
I call them nest makers.
Low pros,
that's
nest
how
maker.
I use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Haven't quite.
So I don't know what I'm going to end up with, but I got to get in touch with Derek because he's going to hopefully guide me in the cheap direction. But
In the ways of the cheap.
In the ways of the cheap.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, we talked last week about anchor points and how great I was feeling and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Use that all to your advantage.
Directly after the show, I lost it all.
Decided to reset it.
This is the hard part. I'm shooting 2 leagues. One is a 3D league. The other is a techno hunt league. And I didn't realize, in all honesty, how much I was just relying on my sight picture and from my peep to my sight, like lining my sight up and using that to fire my arrows. And I was all over the place, like, because I'm going from a well-lit building to a black light.
Yeah, it's a dark in a lot of those techno hunts.
And my line of sight is different for both of them, but I'm still able to shoot accurately at times, but not last week.
So now now I'm thinking about it, I'm sort of visualizing this, and when you say like the sight picture and a dark room versus a well-lit room, I can kind of see it now.
Yeah.
Right? So you're also talking about a 3-dimensional target, and 3-dimensional not just in the target itself, but in the surroundings.
Well, I'm saying
versus
through
a
my
flat
peep,
screen.
lining up my peep to my sight in the daylight. Like, for some reason, like, it was...
Do you have the ring around the housing on your sight? Is there a white or orange colored ring?
I have a Predator peep where it's bigger.
Right.
You know, and...
You just use, like, the top arch?
I use the top part of the arch to line up on my sight.
Which you're losing visual on in a dark room.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. And that's what I thought initially. Okay, so listen, there's a progression.
Okay.
I do all these things, like, I'm going crazy because I'm not accurate at this point. Like, and I've been shooting fairly well, throughout this whole kind of run that I've been on.
Right.
So for some reason, I'm blowing it consistently to the left. My sight's off, so I just start tinkering. You know, I got a highly adjustable sight, so it's nothing for me to, take a couple clicks, to the right or to the left, just to get it dialed in. But then I'm starting to chase arrows. I'm imploding because I'm really caring about my performance. I typically don't care about where my arrows or not where my arrows go, but like how many I get into where this and that. Like now I'm at this.
You're in your head.
Way in my head space with archery. And so I'm chasing everything. So net, let me tell you, I was not anchoring. I found out through this whole thing, we talk about it every time we talk about archery, going through the basics, doing everything the same, blah, blah, blah. In my mind, I am. In my mind, I am doing everything the same.
Right.
But my arrow is not going where I tried to will it to go. And so I'm freaking out. Like, as much as Will can freak out outwardly, I'm freaking out. And
inwardly, Will can freak out pretty well. But outwardly, it's not that.
It's not that visible.
It's kind of like, meh.
And now I'm freaking out, and it's visible.
Uh-oh.
And going back and forth. This is probably 4 rounds. So 2 rounds at each place. I'm just beyond frustrated. I'm shooting terribly for getting towards the end of the league. I'm not even in the running for anything at this point, starting out as strong as I did. It's very, very frustrating. So
you're in Deke zone for score.
Now, I'm not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that poor. But ends up probably the last 4 shots of the absolute last round, that I shot. I'm like, it's not my sight, it's my anchor point. And I remembered you just kind of nonchalantly saying, you know what I like to do? Bury my knuckle into my jaw.
Uh-huh.
And
did you realize your hand was floating?
Yeah. It totally is floating. It made more sense because I'm only off left to right. I'm not up and down. It's left to right, and I'm buried my knuckle into my headset. So how about
that? Don't do it now.
Yeah, but I can't. It was crazy for the longest time. I'm
just in the interest of full disclosure. You mentioned something when we were talking anchor points last week, and you were talking about shooting 3D with Deaky, and things are feeling pretty good. And you said that you had taken a couple shots and you were a little left, so that you just stepped back real quick and you made some adjustments to follow it, to bring it back. And I thought, why are you changing your sight?
Well,
I did the same thing when I listened to it.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. You moved your hand. That's why you shot left, or you cantered your bow. One of the other. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Once
I tried. I was cantering my bow on purpose. I was trying to figure out, why is this not working?
So just for everybody that's listening, though, and for you too, Will, but once your bow's dialed in and set up, any variation, left or right, or even up and down, as long as
nothing came loose.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I mean, you never know. But that's the first thing I think about.
Bow problem.
Yeah.
But what you should do is tighten, not move.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a little tip. Get a little bottle of whiteout, liquid whiteout, liquid paper, I think they call it. Get a little bottle of that. Everywhere you've got a screw or parts, either on your rest or on your sight,
right,
where 2 pieces are screwed together.
Yeah.
Make a little mark from one piece to the next, and that'll give you a visual way to look and check to see if anything moved. Because if you do that little whiteout mark on your sight, if it shifted, if it moved, you'll see a gap now in the mark.
I get it, but when nothing is making sense.
I know.
Well,
I got you.
Who was shooting with you first of all? DK
and Adam.
So there wasn't somebody behind you to tell you you're doing it wrong.
No.
There wasn't somebody to say, look at your anchor point, right?
No. Unfortunately, these guys are great, fun to shoot with. We're all learning, we're all growing together. But I didn't have somebody who's been through what I'm going through, and that that's always a big help. And I love having that. But in this. During this run, I've been on my own.
The coolest part about the story, though, really is the fact that you did figure it out on your own before you left that night. There's nothing worse than leaving an archery shoot at all and not figuring it out before you leave. Because you go home feeling, less confident.
Oh my! No, I still don't feel confident.
Well, you got it back now. It makes your hands in right.
Yeah,
you're back.
I know. Well, it'll take me a little bit to realize it, but I was shooting so awkwardly. You know what I mean? Like I was so frustrated. That arrow was not going where I was putting it, and I know that arrow is going to go there, but it never did.
I think you won that night, though. Seriously, because you're pushing yourself now in archery without having, like Catfish alluded to, standing behind your back, watching you shoot, watching your form. You did that. You self-relied all the way through that, bud.
When you get to an accuracy point where you're shooting 10s, and you're shooting 10s, and you're shooting 10s, and then, like, say break time comes or a different night comes, and you go out and now you're shooting 10s, 9s, and 8s, and you can't figure it out. Ryan's right. Something changed. I think the big thing is once the mental part of archery is when things do start to go astray, what you're learning now is you have to have the self-confidence to stop, reassess, try not to tear the bow down, and just take a big step back away from it. And I think that's the big thing. When guys shoot competition archery at that level and they throw a 9, the mental part of that can screw the rest of your night up. You can do it right after that and still shoot 9s just because now you're looking for arrows.
Oh, I believe it, yeah.
The big part with being like your arrow's not going where you want is then you start to look for them before you're ready.
110%.
And if you take your eyes
I
off
pulled
the
off
target,
my head, jerked to the left.
Then your arrow will go left
50 times and looking for that arrow to not be where I put it. That, you're right. Which threw me off even, more.
It makes it more, it's a snowball effect. Domino frustration.
I'm sick in my stomach, literally. Did I not post this week that I wanted to sell my bow?
Yes.
You actually did.
100%.
And I asked how much.
I've put my bow in the case before and quit an invitational one time at halftime because I was so frustrated that I couldn't dial it in. We shot 15, 20 rounds of practice before we started, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
The very first round, 8, 8, 9, and it first of all already blew my whole back. You blew the whole round at that point. You just dropped 5 points in one round, and then I just could never bring it back.
Yeah.
And all it really was for me was the fact that it could be something as simple. For me back then, it was the first time I had ever brought my girlfriend to club to watch me shoot.
Yeah.
And it can be something mental so stupid that sometimes it's better to just put the bow down and chuckle and go, this afternoon or tomorrow is going to be much better. Instead of destroying your confidence altogether, it's easier. Now, it's different. If you're out west, and you went somewhere and you got your bow out of a case and it has to be accurate, you're going on an elk hunt, you have to push yourself to get it back in. I get it. But on a night like that, I would have probably just went back the next night and, an hour early, shot at the range, tried to figure it out a little bit better. But it's really cool you figured it out before you went home. There's nothing worse than going home and not knowing what it was.
It was stupid, like just grasping for anything, and even then, I question, like, am I putting it in the right spot now? Because it's so new, like I'm thinking about things I never really thought before.
I feel like we touched on this briefly one other time, not recently, but it was another time that we did touch on this. It's a pride thing. Because immediately your instinct, and this was where I questioned it when you talked about it the other week.
Equipment malfunction.
Is you started moving your sight. You hit a little bit left, so you moved your sight, and now you're back in. Well, does that mean in 15 shots now you're going to be 3 inches to the right?
It does, actually, yeah. When you start doing it, muscle memory takes over.
So what's going to happen is if you know your bow is right, and your bow is tuned properly, and your sights are set for you, your bow's shooting right. As soon as those variations come in, especially when they're consistent, the first thing you have to do is stop and say, all right, I'm screwing this up. And as soon as you admit that to yourself, then you can get over that step in the, you can get through the pride part. And you got to get through it quick.
Muscle memory is crazy, though. You can you can just literally not know you don't have your hand against your face. You don't feel it.
No.
Because there's so many other aspects of trying to do the steps correctly that one's easy to miss.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All those anchor points that we talked about last week, I would say I turn them in, just for me, I turn them into a checklist.
Yeah.
And I will go through it so that when I settle, the first thing I do when I come to full draw is I settle my kisser button.
Sure.
Some guys don't use them, but that's fine. I'll settle my kisser button and I'll get everything. You'll see me do it because I kind of wiggle my face around a little bit, settle that to where I want it to be. Then the next thing is I touch the tip of my nose. I feel my knuckle. Like I do those things that we talked about that are the points of contact in your anchor.
Yeah.
I run through a checklist in my head.
But you do that checklist in the same order each time. If you're counting them down, you typically...
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you figured it out. Because it can be... I know that frustration.
Did, for now I did. But yeah, no, the funny part to me, and this is my giggle, this is the giggle that you have after you suffered for some amount of time, and you like the forehead slapping on it. We talk about this when it comes to archery, these kind of things ad nauseum, and it's easy for us to glaze over, the fact that we're just anchor this, put the people, do what you just did. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, totally agree, yeah.
Nailed
but
it.
Then when it comes to actually
executing
it, and you can't figure out that one anchor point that's not there, like that doesn't exist in my mind. It was a non-factor. I'm always putting my knuckle there. I always do that. And then you find out you're not doing that. It is the most
sucks.
Surreal, weird, stupid, pride swelling, everything, like you said.
It makes it tougher too when you're shooting a league like that and you're shooting with 2 guys, 3 guys, a whole group, a team.
Yeah.
And you're not performing like you did last week. So that adds to the tension of the guys. You're walking down, the guys are seeing your shots, and I don't shoot like this, and that adds to a lot of
I had one round where I shot by myself, and wasn't my best round, but it was one of my better rounds.
Sure.
And I was by myself. There was like
Will's like, guys, come over and look at this good round.
There's like no one there. It's just me.
Look at this scorecard.
Yeah.
It's easier. Just show them that.
And then I'm like, are these guys even going to believe me that I'm telling the truth? But yeah,
But those are all the layers that keep piling upon each other in your head.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening.
I hate
You're in deep.
I try to be, I don't know, Iceman with all that stuff. And I for the most part, I don't care. And then I catch myself caring. And what just happened? What is my deal? Why do I care about this stuff? It means nothing.
But you, it means a lot. And there's reasons that it means this or it means that. You talked about them last week. These are, you rested on the laurels and you hate yourself for it. Now that's why it's meaning something to you.
Oh, yeah.
And, but here's the thing. These are also learning moments. These are things that next time you're not going to forget. So next time, as soon as that first shot goes left, you're like, was my knuckle in? So when you draw that bow back the next time, you will sink that knuckle in.
Sure.
Like this is how you get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. I learned
it's building.
I learned that exact point this week, just on a different journey, not archery. But you need to take the negative with the positive and look at the good. That negative, hitting that negative, causes you to learn more than you would from a positive. And
you'll remember it more.
Yeah, and it means more than once you overcome that. The thing that I have really picked up upon and found solace in is it seems like most archers go through this period at least once in their archery.
Every archer.
Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes it's not even just a once and done thing. It happens
yearly.
It's repetitively.
Exactly.
It's not going to be the last time.
Yeah.
I'm hands down
it's
the
really
best archer in this group. I don't have the trophy.
It's weird.
I just had a bad night.
It's weird.
You should see every other night I shoot.
And that proves what it says, circles back to what I was trying to get at.
You were in your head that night.
I was in deep.
That negative is a positive because now you won't have your first time of this happening, and you can now recall back to this. Say, I've been here before.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot of growth happening. I feel like, but this is the absolute first time where I went to my bag of tricks and I wasn't finding it. I went to my basics and I wasn't finding it.
I think honestly the bigger lesson that here is not figuring it out, because you're in an archery standpoint now that you've done it enough that you have figured it out on your own. You can figure it out on your own. It takes time, but you can do it. What I think that you should learn from this is when it happens next time is to be able to control the frustration. Like the frustration you felt, the gut-wrenching feeling of not being able to be in control, you don't want to ever feel like that again. So next time, control that first.
Right.
Because you never ever want to feel like you're not in control of any firearm, weapon, bow, whatever. There's no sense in using it if you're not.
Right.
And I don't want to belabor this, but I want to say one more thing. You said about going back to your bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I think the difference is now your bag of tricks is deeper.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a little bit longer to get toward the bottom of it.
Right.
Now, let me ask you an honest question.
I only like this.
Would Will from 5 years ago have gotten that deep in his bag, or would he actually have sold the bow? Like, you posted that you were ready to sell it, but Will 5 years ago, would he have kept digging in the bag, or would he have sold the bow?
I still want to sell the bow.
That's just because you want a new one. That's different.
Yeah. I want that RX3.
Will from 5 years ago, I'm assuming, because I don't know Will 5 years ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I barely knew you. I'm going to guess it would have been equipment 100% and just got rid of it, got something better.
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of like this. I like the equipment. I like.
Well, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I do like that stuff, and I'm not looking. I've never gone this deep. Whenever I started out, Catfish walked me through every step of the way. I don't know if I was just a good listener or executing what he says. I could do it. It was in my thing. It was in my wheelhouse. But like all that bag of tricks and things like that wasn't there. And so again, having someone helping me diagnose things, I didn't even think about it. But this is honestly the first time that I've been hard. This is
so he was your bag of tricks. Now you've got.
This is as hardcore bow hunting, or not.
And I was going to touch on that, and this is all positive to you.
Yeah.
Because you've grown substantially.
You went on an untethered space walk.
Wait a second. Even though that you have stepped your game up and you're shooting 2 leagues and more than you ever have before, it's still. I don't want to make this sound weird, but when I shoot my bow, I don't think of those things. It's muscle memory because I shot 5 nights a week for 3 years straight.
Yeah. I've never done that.
That's all I did. I shot archery till I couldn't pull a bow back. For 3 years, all I did was shoot competitive archery. I don't have to think about shooting my bow. If I pick it up 6 months from now and never touch it, I can still shoot it. And I know that sounds bad, but when you shoot 2 leagues and you're into it, and you're going to have these problems. Next year, when you shoot 2 leagues, you're going to have less problems. The year after that, when you shoot 3 leagues because you want to shoot competition because you become that great, you won't have any of those problems. Right. But when you get to that level and you have a bad night, it's a whole nother mind trip because
can't even imagine.
It's a whole nother trip. But you're doing what you need to do because there's no thing I've ever heard in life that makes more sense to me than practice makes perfect. And archery's tough, man. It's mental. You can shoot archery, twice a week. You can, and I'm not saying that that's not enough or that's too much. Muscle memory can be lost or forgotten about in just 4 days. Like, not that it goes away, but once it's locked in, once your brain has that locked in, where that hand is where it is, where your nose is supposed to be where it is, where your kisser button goes, because what it feels like in your brain, you have that now. Now it's just not getting frustrated when it ain't there, because you can do it.
Yeah.
It's the fine tuning and being. It's the precision. Right.
You'll get to a point where you don't have to think of those checkpoints.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It'll just, you pick the bow up and you just shoot it, and you don't have to ever think about it ever again because your body just does what you've done 100,000 times.
There were guys that were professional pitchers in the major leagues, and they haven't thrown a baseball in 20 years. They can still throw a strike when they step on a mound at 90 feet.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the precision that they used to have.
No, and I don't either. I'm not half the archer, a quarter of the archer that I was when I was in my 20s. Nothing. I can still shoot, but there's...
And he still beat me at our shoot-off, which is why I'm telling you, I had a bad night.
He's rock solid. I love watching you shoot. And honestly, that I do draw a lot of inspiration from both you guys. But Catfish is a rock, And
like your wrestling, though. Like, that was my wrestling. I took it to that point in my younger life where I just pushed limits of what I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But that's all I had. Growing up in the country, I had access and a key to an indoor archery range and friends, and we just bought pizza and shot archery because that's all we had to do, ride 4-wheelers. So
I definitely know that there's room for more shooting for me, and that's where I'm at. Is that if I'm gonna want to be better, or if I want to be the the best in the area or whatever I want to do out of this.
The best for you.
This trip. Yeah, whatever this trip becomes, there's more shooting.
Or teach yourself that when you're having trouble to make it fun to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what the hell is this all about? This will be fun to figure out. So,
wise man once said, if it ain't fun, don't do it.
Yeah, I heard that.
So.
Well, don't tell them that, because don't you want to buy the bow?
No.
It'd be more fun with that new bow, bud.
But you're right. No, I agree.
If it ain't fun, don't do it after you sell Ryan your bow.
Gotcha.
That's what the wise man actually
I heard that
said.
old saying, yeah.
That all came out wrong. But I'd never in my life have found, other than the river and moving water, I've never found, because that's my zen. That's my power. But when I was younger, archery was my power. Archery carried me through life. The lessons I have learned to control things and to hone focus has all become through archery. And it didn't come without all kinds of hiccups and problems. And I hated archery at one point. I couldn't stand it. It's all supposed to be fun, like Ryan said. And it can be tough. When you start to strive to shoot really well, because you should, it's always good to strive to be a little bit better. But archery taught me, my point is archery taught me to be humble. And I don't think I would have ever learned that without archery.
Right.
So.
But no, it's real now. And we're, some of us are doing it as hard as,
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You're shooting a lot.
But there's room. Like, I still realize there's way more room. If I want to do more, I got room to shoot more. So I got a lot. It was so funny, just right after this conversation, right after this podcast, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great, everybody. Look how cool.
I listened to it.
And it just tanked. And boy, was it ever.
You're lucky you had them two with you. Two other buddy archers that were with you would have made fun of you the whole time and not helped you at all. Be like, Will, you're sucking tonight.
I don't know.
What are you doing?
Those guys sound like jerks.
Adam's like, hey, bud, I need you to carry us. What's going on here? And like, he's not helping. There's nothing. There's no, here's another layer of pressure, bud, over here if you want some. Yeah. Best friend of the show, Adam Wood. We also, let's move on a little bit, but we had a nice little field trip this week that we met some really cool people.
We did. I don't even know what to say about it.
You guys look like you had some fun.
Catfish.
I met my twin.
We met this guy is
doppelganger.
Is that the word? Because
I didn't notice it till they brought it up.
This dude is like, I don't know. He's one of the most creative, hardworking. And all these words can be applied to catfish, right? So, creative, hardworking,
eccentric.
A little bit.
A little bit eccentric.
It's that, riding dirt bikes through the showroom is eccentric.
Right. And when he puts his mind to something, he doesn't, guess what? Doesn't sleep.
Right.
One of the first things this guy said to me was I don't sleep. I like to tinker in the garage and build things. And he said, what did he say? Have you ever seen Mad Max? And I went,
maybe.
Did you guys immediately break into karate stances?
He's like, I got something to show you. Come out back. All the cars on Mad Max, all the post-apocalyptic flamethrowers, rocket cannons.
Yeah.
He built those. He literally built them.
Nice.
Out of Mach 1 Mustangs and Humvees and an old ice cream truck from the 60s that has grenade throwers on it. And what's that thing on the front of that?
It's he calls it the bull, and it's got this train, the shovel in the front.
Yeah. Cow catcher.
Rips
the windshields out, put chain mesh in them. He's got big giant augers off some industrial snowplow on the front, so he
could just
the Mach 1 actually throws flames.
It does.
It actually, he has it set up to.
It's got an 80-gallon or 90-gallon tank on the front of it, strapped to the bumper, welded to the bumper.
So this is the place to go once the zombie apocalypse happens.
Yes,
we're heading there.
zombies will probably be generated from this place.
He's going to breed them. He doesn't
yeah,
sleep.
he breeds them.
And tanks.
And he loves clowns. I'm out.
I'm in.
Yeah. So,
and all that's sitting right next to a couple monster trucks and
rat rods.
Yeah, he builds rat rods out of nothing. He got bored one day and just wrapped his entire fork truck in Muddy Girl, which was super cool.
We honestly didn't literally say who we were talking about.
No.
Oh, well,
Not yet.
I was going to introduce him, actually, but I don't call him Travis. His name's Travis, and he actually owns Sirphis.
Yeah. Lifestyle Camo.
And which has some off brands of Muddy Girl, and it's a huge name.
Paul's Camos.
I don't call Travis though. I call him Russet Madcap because he has a video getting he built a spud gun, potato cannon,
Okay.
and was shooting it at a 3D deer, and that's the brand of potatoes he said he was using. Russets. And he just went full madcap. Like, he would not stop till he destroyed this 3D deer with this spud gun. He missed the first 2 times.
He went Johnny Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Madcap.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
So I call him Russet Madcap. That's his new nickname. But he invited us up to the shop. And our friend Eddie was up there.
Yeah, so it's the massive warehouse shop. It has a little bit of everything.
It's long enough that you can get a 50cc dirt bike in 4th gear.
You're speaking hypothetically, or
No,
from a friend.
Before I had to hit the brakes by the fish tank.
Somebody told you that?
Oh no, we rode him right through the shop.
You had to hit the brakes.
Yeah. Well, he came out. This guy's taller than me. What is he? 6 foot, 6'2"?
No, he's big. 6'4",
Yeah.
6'3".
And he came out. You know what a pocket rocket is? Them little tiny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He came out on one of them with his knees above his head, and I just laughed. You could hear it whang down through the shop. They have fun. There's cornhole games in the shop, and
nice
dartboards. And
it was really cool and extraordinary to see that much business being done
fun
in a fun way.
Yeah.
It was very eye opening. We just and to find out, we met him through Eddie McDonough.
Ah, good buddy Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
From
Nice.
Outdoor Show, Billy Campbell, Fame, all those guys, and man, they're in our backyard, and Eddie's like, this is a no brainer. You gotta meet these guys, So he arranged for some.
That was pretty cool.
I had no clue what to expect, but when you walk in the shop, it looks like Cabela's, Bass Pro, like all those cool setups with log cabins inside, like you're outside but you're inside.
It reminded me of Rob Dyrdek and Duck Commander. If you would mesh those 2 warehouses, at least from the
and
picture.
Rob Zombie,
I mean, it was like a circus in there, and then there was backdrops, a nice little backdrop where I saw some pictures taken in front of a cabin almost. You met one of Ryan's relatives up there. I saw some photos of
see some of that.
What kind of raccoon was that anyway?
A little one.
Is it just a little one? It was almost like a red brown.
It's only because he lives inside for the winter time.
Gotcha. The winter colors.
He's got his winter inside coat on.
Gotcha.
There's trees inside this place, inside the showroom that
growing
they're not real, but and they were shipped over from somewhere.
You can't tell they're not really.
Are they bonsai?
No, they're massive, gigantic.
They're 14, 15-foot trees.
And they put every piece together. Like they build it, coming like a skid.
Like a Lego set.
Yeah, a couple skids. And
so he's a tinker, though. Like, on top of all this, he also has Grit House. It's a brand that he's been working on. And I'm sure that's going to grow in the future. But that's kind of spotlighted more towards guys that like to build post-apocalyptic stuff, guys that are building choppers, rat rods, anybody who's in the garage that wants to make something out of nothing. That's him. Like he's got ARs on the wall that are made of just wrenches and bolts that he welded together. That from a distance you're like, oh, dude, look at that AR. You walk up, it's a bunch of old crappy tools.
Old tools.
Like like steampunk art or
yeah,
100%.
Grabs a bunch of his visions. What he puts together with junk is pretty amazing. But Travis is super cool. Brooke is the VP, and Brooke also was up there with us. And
Muddy Girl Brooke.
we went from talking in the warehouse to the showroom floor to the office, back to they have a couple guys in the back that do their designing, which were super cool to us, to outside seeing the cars. I really thought going up there of something totally different. And a guy like this could totally be boastful and bragful and look at all my cool stuff. And it was so further from the truth than Travis. He was the most humble. And you guys want some pizza? Like, I don't have any, like, we just ate off napkin. Like, just everybody in the whole shop got together and just ate pizza.
Nice.
It was crazy.
Like, he did want to show me his post-apocalyptic cars.
I thought he just worked there.
Yeah.
I didn't know the guy. I honestly didn't know him. And I feel bad, because I went in just not judging people, but I didn't know Travis was the mastermind behind this gigantic warehouse and playhouse, whatever you want to call it. And he just looked like a dude that worked there.
Yeah.
Like he didn't dress any differently he didn't do anything different. He was just catfish. He was catfish.
Their shop mascot is an albino 8-foot alligator.
That's where Sirphis came from. Is the
name of the alligator, Sirphis, and it's pure white. I mean, it's gorgeous. So that's actually the first thing that caught my attention. Going up to see Muddy Girl Country, going up to see the headquarters, as I walked in, and there's a fish tank with black pebbles at the bottom and lighting in it. And there's probably what I would guess is about a 9-foot alligator skull, 10-foot maybe, I don't know, but it's big. It's it's 20-inch long, something big alligator skull that's in the bottom. And there's all these contrasted super white skull with its mouth open with black rocks at the bottom. And then there's these orange goldfish that are swimming around in
30 goldfish.
And I just went, that's the coolest fish tank. Even though they're goldfish, this is the coolest fish tank I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So.
That croc skull in it.
And so he thinks of all this stuff up. And I thought he was super cool. And we did talk a little bit of like helping out in business and stuff like that while we were there. The girls, my wife Lacey and Emily Beckel, they went up with us too, and they hung out with Brooke and Eddie.
They recognized right away Lacey has been a Muddy Girl for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really...
Turkeys and Tay-Tay, she talked about how she wasn't getting the gun till it was covered in Muddy Girl.
It meant so much to them to have Lacey tell them about her Muddy Girl
she had a
lifestyle.
Hoodie on. Yeah. She had a hoodie on when we went up there, and that's the first thing Brooke said. She's like, we haven't sold that in 8 years. So we know you've had that for at least 8 years, or whatever. So we've been supporting us for 8 years. Thank you. It was super fun. I think that we're going to venture back for sure since they're in our backyard. It's no different than some of the other amazing people that we've met in the area. If nothing else, to ride the dirt bikes through the office again.
I need to check it out. So I'm tagging along.
I'm wondering what this guy's grill looks like. Like, does he have this?
We've heard some stories of
a big old dragon, and with the flames.
Well, me and him had a side discussion about building like a 10-foot tall Tyrannosaurus Rex out front that breathes fire out front of the shop, like out of scrap car parts. I'm totally up for it.
The funny part about it was like, Catfish, when his ideas start rolling out, is like, what we need? We need a 20-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex. Travis doesn't even like squint or do anything. Like he doesn't.
He just goes, yes.
He was like, well, we need these flux capacitors with the things that to make like he just rolls into the idea
and keeps going with it.
Yeah, and until another tangent happens. I'm
picturing
it's crazy.
We did well together.
I got goosebumps. I wanted to leave
and
because it didn't.
It was way more than
it was scary.
I'm kind of picturing catfishing this guy like Step Brothers. All of a sudden activities, and they're lifting the bunk beds up so they have more room to work.
I thought the mold was cracked, broken, gone. I didn't know that there was another.
There's another of them.
Catfish.
He looks at me and he says, I don't sleep much. And I went,
Tell me about it.
And then so just like archery, there was a lot of things that he said that I didn't want to go, me too, because it sounds weird, or elaborate on, because he's like, oh, I should have never watched Mad Max, Beyond, Fury Road. I love it. You ever seen it? And I went, now, how weird would it be for me to go, I've been watching it for 2.5 years straight. It's on repeat in my garage right now back home. Like, that just sounds
That wouldn't have been weird at all.
But he, so he's like, I don't know. I got inspiration. I started building post-apocalyptic destroyer cars. And I went, really? He's like, yeah, I got a Mach 1 out back for flamethrowers. And I went, I would like to see that.
Did you ask him if he ever drove a go-kart without brakes into a washer?
I'm sure that he probably either has or probably
and
would.
And he went,
I drove a Humvee.
No, but I'd like to.
Yeah. Well, it was
Let's make that happen.
It was stupid stuff.
Boys, bring me a washer.
No, it's too cool. Yeah, he bought a bus to have people shoot pumpkins at it.
Yeah, a school bus, just to blow the windows out with like a potato gun, but one big enough he built that shoots pumpkins.
Yeah, like
a pumpkin chucker,
pumpkin cannon.
Yes, a pumpkin cannon. But it wasn't even all that. It was the little weird things. Like right in the middle of the meeting, things would just interrupt. Like when we derail, we're talking about stuff, and Brooke looks over at me and she's like, "Do you always wear your hoodie like that?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I hate it." He does too. Why do you pull your sleeves up past your elbow? I don't know. I don't like things around my wrist. He's like, "I hate things. I hate tight things around my wrist." He's like, "I can't wear a watch." I said, "I don't have a watch." It was weird.
It got awkward. And I literally started to walk out.
Yeah. But he's going to be fun to hang out with.
I'm
going to go back up and I could totally understand. I can totally understand his mentality of where your brain doesn't shut off and you have to invent or what's the word? Just build something to keep your mind occupied.
Yeah, purge your mind.
So his brand of, Grit House is actually perfect, for a guy like me or other guys like us that just, because he can walk around and look at something and be, it's trash to somebody and be like, dude, I can build a smoker out of that. Plus it'll, look like a Minion or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He can see it before he builds it, and I like that.
Half the showroom is stuff I would have thrown away, and it's beautiful art. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Them big Alaskan saws where two guys have to stand 8 feet apart to use? That's what his sun visor is made out of in one of his rat rods. And I looked at it, and I'm sitting in it going, boy, I'd hate to rear end somebody in this son of a gun because you're going to eat them teeth right to your forehead. But it was cool. And we want to thank them for having us up.
Thanks for having us up.
Super hospitality. It was great.
So I'm going to say thanks in advance for having us up again because I'm going.
Yeah. They're going to have some events. We're going to go back.
I just invited myself. See how I did that?
I think they're acutely aware that I think it's at least Catfish is going to be, poking his head out around the fish tank every once in a while.
Didn't I threaten Brooke that if you wake me up in the morning on the floor, I was out too late?
Yeah, it's funny. We had a good time, and it was like you said, it was great for the girls. It was great to reconnect with Eddie, and also meet the new
all their employees. All their super employees. Nice. Yep. So that's cool. The thing. A lot of people know who Muddy Girl is, and not a lot of people know about. I don't. They do, but not most people don't know that Muddy Girl and Grit House and Pulse and all this stuff all follows under Sirphis.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what they're trying to get the world to know is go find Sirphis and you'll find everything.
That's the hub. I like it.
Guys, I think we killed this current.
We did.
I purged a lot.
What time is it right now?
It's time to kick this pig.
It's 10:19. If we drive 40 minutes north, I bet you that Travis is awake and we can do some fun stuff.
All right. And gotta go. We're going to kick this one because I got to go check out some gorilla suits and driving around 50cc motorbikes.
Well, I told him, I said, I'm not coming back unless you let me drive the monster truck that's parked outside. And if it wasn't snow covered at the time and I didn't want to uncover all the snow off it, I probably would have drove it.
I got a shovel in my truck. Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, boys.
Love it.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, bud.
When we're not driving monster trucks
and not holding our form still
and finding our anchors again,
yeah.
Where can people find us?
Well, as always, check us out at RuttenRiverPursuits.com. Don't forget to check us out all of the social media outlets. You got Instagrams, Facebook,
the YouTubes,
the Twitters. Oh, yes, and the YouTube.
Don't
search Rutten River Pursuit Podcast. The podcast itself, always available on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Like Spotify.
Ooh, love it. Hey, Bucky, got a question for you.
What's that, bud?
If I was going to go
to a wrestling tournament for 2 months,
you better bring some Moses family jerky with you, buddy.
So you better bring some MF and jerky.
You better bring that MF and jerky with you, because that's the only thing that has sustained me in the bleachers all weekend. Yes,
eating the Chesapeake.
It's much better than any hot dog sold at a
wrestling match.
At a wrestling match, that's for sure.
Can't imagine that.
Love it. Well, when you go over to mfjerky.com, use that promo code
Jerky Pursuits 15.
That's the one. Get 15% off your whole order.
I'm on it.
All right, boys. Great show. Another good one.
Peace.
See you.
Rigabrilas.
Less than 85 yards from the stand where
carrying pumpkins.
Oh, dear.
He was carrying pumpkins.
Oh, dear.
I was like, cut him. Didn't work out for me. I can't think of the word because I'm not a scientist or a biologist.
Yeah.
Although I did stay at Holiday Inn Express. But they are those...
Now I'm just beyond frustrated. I'm shooting terribly for getting towards the end of the league. I'm not even in the running for anything at this point, starting out as strong as I did. It's very, very frustrating. So
you're in Deke zone for score.
Now, no, I'm not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that poor. But yeah,
I'm hands down
it's
the
really
best
the
archer
first
in this group. Yeah, I don't have the trophy.
It's weird.
I just had a bad night.
It's weird.
You should see every other night I shoot.
And that proves what it says, circles back to what I was trying to get at.
You were in your head that night.
I was in deep.
That negative is a positive, because now
Wise man once said, if it ain't fun, don't do it.
Yeah, I heard that.
So.
Well, don't tell him that, because don't you want to buy the bow?
No.
It'd be more fun with that new bow, bud.
But you're right. No, I agree.
If it ain't fun, don't do it after you sell Ryan your bow.
Gotcha.
That's what the wise man actually
I heard that
said.
old saying, yeah.
Well, he came out. This guy's taller than me. What is he? 6 foot, 6'2"?
No, he's big. 6'4",
Yeah.
6'3".
And he came out. You know what a pocket rocket is? And little tiny.
Yeah.
He came out on one of them with his knees above his head, and I just laughed. You could hear it whang down through the shop.